All right, welcome back to MMA Mobsters. I am, of course, Pat Militaris, former UFC champion, UFC Hall of Famer, and we are brought to you by cellsaviors.org, dimene.com, and grapplersclash.com. And as always, I'm joined by the Choven one, Joshua Choven. How are you, Joshua? You're walking without walking casts. Your legs are whiter than shit. You need some sun, but you're getting healthy, bro.
Yeah. I'm doing a little bit, doing a little bit of this, doing a little bit of that, doing a little bit of everything. Yeah, I did have a wonderful cousin who had told me that I need to get tanning soon. I look like a ghost, but I'd rather be a walking ghost than the most crippled tan guy in the world. How's that?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm happy to see you moving around. Now you get a chance to start working out. I can start writing workouts for you. You're taking the Cell Saviors fulvicumic right now, the colloid minerals,
Yeah.
speed up the healing. Let's get rocking and rolling, right?
Yeah, and you set me up. I'll also give a shout out to Pat's company, Soil Savers. He's been asking me sometimes a little aggressively, like Coach does, to give it a shot because he knew it would work for me. And I've been on it 2 days, and I'm feeling the evil stuff getting kicked out of my body. And I would highly recommend using his product. I've had probably 9 or 10 guys that I genuinely trust tell me, "Oh yeah, it's legit. Like it has worked for me. It is good stuff. I can now join that group. Go to soilsavers.com and Pat, tell them about that, and also Dimene."
Yeah, so cellsaviors.org, just look, it's the highest grade biology and colloid and uh, salt minerals, real salt minerals, ocean minerals. And yeah, it's built to build a better human being. That's what we need. And then Dimene, of course, Dimene Clothing, dimene.com, check that out. And then Grapplers Clash, get on there, experiment a little bit with it. That way you can book your grappling matches with people who are on the app and work your way through the rankings. And as that builds, it's in the testing phase right now. But awesome. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. And anyway, I want to talk a little bit about last week. I think we both did okay. I think we did, it wasn't the perfect, crystal clear, stellar week, but, it's way above 60%, I would say, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
well, we needed a bounce back. I think the Islam Ian Gary card, that was one of the few fights that we got right. Yeah, we're gonna. I think we had 8 or 9 smash cards, and then a not so good one. We bounced back last week. The Choven parlay, the Choven lock certainly hit. I had about a 4 leg parlay. RDR was in there. Wint is in there. I'm not quite sure what to do with Wint yet. I mean, he did his job. He was minus 1200 and pummeled his opponent. But I saw some holes. I won't bet him at minus 1200 against anyone else. But he got him out of there in the first round. And then RDR fought a really tough guy in Roman Dolidze that we both thought RDR would win. But RDR's moving up in weight. And that's a huge weight jump, Pat. That's 20 pounds, not just 10 pounds. So how will RDA do? Dolidze's a little slow, but he can hit. Dolidze, for some reason, forsook all of his God-given power and decided he was going to leg lock RDR and nothing else. So he
Yeah, it
literally
was
just went
wild.
out on the ground, let RDR punch him in the face until the fight was over, and never let go of the leg. If this was some kid we'd never heard of out of Uzbekistan or South Central Los Angeles, we could just say, well, we'll never see him in the UFC again. This is like a 12-fight UFC veteran and a really good fighter. Is there anything that possibly makes sense to you there? Because, I mean, this guy's got a good head on his shoulders. He's not just good at, maybe it was bad coaching, but I feel like he wouldn't just follow bad coaching. I mean, did that make any sense to you? Because I was happy to win my bet. Didn't make sense to me, but
Well, RDR, what is he, 13, 14 and 0 on the ground? Never been finished. I I don't know. I'm playing the odds on that one if I'm fighting him, and I'm probably going to do my best to keep it standing. That's just me, but who knows? Whatever. I wasn't very wasn't a very good strategic match. Certainly didn't play out for him, and odds were it wasn't going to. So the I got to throw this out there that I did pick Petrino over Spivak. I think that that's important to point out that I think most people were going for Spivak, as
most
I think
people,
you were,
most people,
weren't you?
most people, most people. Yes. Lee, if Pat brings up any more of my mistakes, can you just kill his mic or something? Because we know this is Pat and I love the debate. And I would say that Pat's Vitor Petrino pick was pretty good. Not quite as good as his Nasrat Hakparast pick, where he disagreed with me on Padilla. But Pat and I were 1-1. We disagreed on 2 fights, and we both got one right. All jokes aside, all the respect in the world to you, Coach. I love how we can F with each other back and forth. Not
So
bad. We
what?
both got one right. We both got one wrong, and all the other ones we agreed that it was all good.
Yeah. So did you plan on that fight going the distance? You had Nazareth winning, or Padilla. You had Padilla winning,
Yes.
but you expected it to go the distance.
Yeah, Pat, that's actually crazy that you mentioned that. I hadn't even said anything about this. I completely forgot about this story. So I did on the show say that Nasrat and Padilla both go to decision a lot. And so I did like this fight at about minus 110. Fight goes to decision. And then being in Minnesota, it is legal-ish to sports bet here, but you have to your options are more limited. It is legal, just legal options are limited. So I'm on these sports books, and the main one that I use is a smaller sports book, mostly in Minnesota. And it had fight goes to decision. Get this, Pat. Fight goes to decision is minus 120. And then over 2.5 rounds was minus 125. And I'm like, well, obviously, I'm just going to bet over 2.5 rounds. That 5 cents isn't worth the squeeze. The juice
Right.
isn't worth the squeeze, literally. I definitely got a few wrong last week. Spivak was one of them, but that is a perfect example where I pat myself on the back a little bit. That was responsible betting because sure enough, the fight goes over 2.5 rounds and fight goes to decision, loses by 1 second because it was one of those things where Padilla was choking him out and Nasrat is kind of clawing at it, and then the buzzer goes. So Padilla lets go, good sportsmanship, and Nasrat's just laying there fully unconscious. And so Herzog waves it, and I'm like, oh man, I already knew my bet was won because it went over 2.5 rounds. But anytime you see inefficiencies like this, if you want to make money at this, if you just want to throw your money away, fine. But you wouldn't be watching this show if that's what you wanted to do. If you want to be anywhere from a guy who consistently wins at UFC every week and you make more than you lose, and it's a fun thing that you can keep a bankroll doing, or you want to be a professional bettor like me, whenever you see something like that, you have to take advantage of it. You have to be seeing these little spaces, these little clicks in the game because they matter, and that's what separates the casual sports bettor from the pro sports bettor. I make lots of mistakes still. I try to make as few as possible. One of them is if you can bet over 2.5 rounds and fight goes at the same price, why wouldn't you just bet over 2.5? But you'd be surprised how many people just are like, no, I want to bet fight goes to decision. Okay, yeah. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Let's just for sake, let's try to remember picking a few fights on tonight's or today's card that we're going to be calling, or giving our breakdown of. Let's look for the guys that both of them have gone the distance, and let's try to keep track of that for next week and see just how many of those fights actually go, the distance. Just for
That's actually a really
sake.
good point. Yeah, that's actually a very good point, Pat. I would say that line movement will do a lot of that work for you, but it's certainly good to look at because Pat, I'm sure you can rattle off 10 of these guys off your head. You occasionally do see guys who have an iron chin their whole entire career. Maybe Rowdy Lawler's one of those guys, but once it gets touched once, it gets way easier to touch it. Tyrone Woodley was like that. Tyrone Woodley, no one ever was finishing him, and then one knockout leads to 2, leads to 3. So, yeah, it is. You do see guys their whole entire life they may lose the fight, but they ain't getting finished, and then they get a little older. That button gets touched once, it gets easier to push,
Sure. All right, let's go on to a little bit of news. Talk about there's a fighter got his operation, came out successfully. Is that Albert?
Yeah, let me get your thoughts on one more fight before we move on. We both picked an underdog, Pat. Gregory Rodriguez to beat Fluffy Hernandez, and oh boy, did he. He completely chewed him up. Shout out Jeremy for following our advice and taking RoboCop to win and win
I have to be honest.
decision.
I think I picked Rodriguez or Hernandez slightly in the broadcast.
You talked me into RoboCop, buddy. Yeah, I said
I
I
did?
wasn't really sure. And Yeah, it
Okay,
was the
I'm trying to
co-main event
remember.
before that. Yeah, you
Okay.
definitely did. Yeah,
You know what? And the
yeah,
problem is I can't go back and I'm sorry, I can't go back and look because
well, you
my better
got
half
the instant
threw,
replay right here. Trust me. Yeah,
well, after the show, my
you
better
picked
half
him.
threw the
Yeah,
paper away where my check marks
that's
were.
okay. That's okay, buddy. Yeah, he was both you and I's pick, and we both kind of saw the path to victory. You said that Anthony Hernandez loves the takedowns. He loves the jiu-jitsu. RoboCop has sneaky jiu-jitsu off his back, and he absolutely destroyed both of Fluffy's legs with some leg kicks. And I wanted to get your take on one more thing before I move on to our first news piece. I think it's Olberg. Anthony Hernandez, tough guy. I don't want to bag him, but he did something that fighters aren't a big fan of. After the press conference, he didn't say, bigger man won. We're going to go back to the drawing board. Strickland beat me up bad a year ago. Now Rodriguez did. Maybe it's time to reassess things. No, he goes, Rodriguez is a dirty fighter. I will never fight anyone from his camp again. He targeted my oblique the entire fight. He tried to kick my knees in, like when you the legs like this and you kick it in. John Jones got famous for that teep that will explode the knee if done correctly. Needless to say, Anthony Hernandez's fellow Warriors kind of laughed at that. And I want you to talk about that. There's no rule against capsizing someone's kneecap with your kick. It's part of the game. You can't punch them in the groin. You can't bite them. You can't, stick fingers in their eyes. But you can try to destroy their legs. Is there a code among MMA fighters, an unwritten rule that you just don't do it? Or is it all fair in war when the cage gets locked and you're in there? From someone who would know, Pat Militech.
Yeah, I mean, fighters are going to do what fighters are going to do, and within the rules and outside of the rules. That I've had fights like what was it? My first fight with Chris Brennan where we clashed heads and it cut my eye, and I was on top of him in cross sides, and he reached around my head and was trying to get his finger inside the cut to rip it open further, so they'd have to stop the fight. Excuse me. And then I grabbed his wrist and pulled his hand away. And I talked to him. I go, "Are you serious right now?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Dude, I got to try." So fighters are going to do that shit. So it's just the way it is.
Not into your mouth, which would be bad enough, not into your eye. He tried to fish hook you in an open wound.
Yeah, and tried to rip it open further. Yeah, he was trying to dig his finger into the gash and pull it open a little bit further. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, he was just looking for an angle, bro. That's what they do. Stomping the knees, I think that should be illegal because that's a sudden trauma type injury that, yes, I'm sure it has ended some careers, or certainly crippled people for quite a while and lessened their ability to move. So I'm not a big advocate of that rule. It should be taken out. But chopping at the side of the legs and the calves and all that sort of stuff, that's fair game. That's good strategy.
I'll say this, and then we'll move on to another famous light heavyweight, Carlos Olberg. If you want some fun stats and some fun data and some fun trends, Pat, look at every great fighter who has fought John Jones. Look at before they fought John Jones. Look at after they fought John Jones. They were never the same. He destroyed.
They wore dresses
Thiago
after the fight.
Santos's career.
After they fought John Jones, they put on dresses.
Cormier's. What'd you say?
After they fought John Jones, they wore dresses.
Yeah, well, you can say it. I can't, but yeah, they are Anthony Smith, never the same. Cormier, never the same. All these guys who he fought, that just because he destroys their legs, does that make him the greatest ever? I don't know. Time will tell. All right, what do we have for another famous light heavyweight? Carlos Olberg looks like he's coming to a TV near you soon, huh?
Surgery successful? Looks
ACL,
like,
yeah.
Would you say they're thinking the beginning of 2027?
Yeah, so they made an announcement this week. It is August now. They said they're targeting first quarter of next year. In your experience, how long does an ACL take to heal? I don't know that he just came out of surgery today, but that's what they made it kind of sound like. And that seems like a quick turnaround. What's your experience working with ACL injuries? Did any of your great fighters in that MFS stable deal with that? How long did it take? Did they come back? And also, I think it's interesting that they didn't do an interim fight. Obviously, the Olberg thing happened with Jiri Prochaska, where he's clearly on one leg. Prochaska's dancing around. Is he showboating? What's he doing? And Alberg's like, I don't know what the F you're doing, but I just ripped my ACL. I'm in a bad mood. Pop. I'm champion. Thanks. It was weird, but he's champion. What do you think of this whole mess? And have you, what's been your experience coming back from ACL injuries, coaching fighters off ACL injuries? Are you never the same again? How's it work?
You know what? I don't recall any of my athletes really having ACL tears that I can remember. Maybe there was one. Rob Lawler, after I retired from coaching and he went to ATT, he tore his ACL in the first round with a shorter Brazilian who couldn't even hurt him in the fight.
Was this before or after he won his UFC title?
I think it was before, maybe after.
Okay.
Anyway, yep. We'll cover that later. But anyway, nobody that I've coached really had ACL problems. I mean, I've had friends, but like David Clark, who was an ultra runner, the guy tore his ACL. 3 months later, he was already, the doctor goes, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen an ACL heal like this before in my life. And he was taking really high-grade supplements, natural supplements that actually heal the body. And he, as part of his recovery, I think, biked across the United States. He couldn't run across the United States quite yet, so he decided to bike across the United States as part of his recovery for his knee. But, you know, I've seen people do some pretty freaky stuff and come back. And a lot of people come back too early and re-injure, you know, ACLs. So not wise to do it too fast.
Yeah, and that would be the fear with Alberg. There's some, and good for them. Good for them that no one knows really when the surgery was, but he plans to be back. I'm very shocked when Jamal Hill tore his ACL. They immediately announced an interim fight. When Tom Aspinall had his eyes gouged out, they immediately announced an interim fight, or a few months after. So, yeah, I guess they just felt comfortable letting Alberg rather, Jiri lost, letting Alberg keep the belt. What do you think about a contender? Do you let him run it back with Jiri, or are you just, because Jiri had him beat, he did damage to the leg in the first 30 seconds and got clipped by a guy on one leg and knocked out. That's a little embarrassing. I know Alberg's very powerful. Do you give him Jiri again? Paulo Costa is demanding a title shot, or he will retire from the UFC. Who do you think who do you think Carlos Alberg should get in his first light heavyweight title defense, Pat?
I wouldn't mind seeing Paulo Costa. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, why should Jiri get a rematch when he got knocked out by a guy on one leg? There's, you know what I mean? That I think Jiri has to win some fights to come back, you know, to earn that right to do that. So that's just kind of my thoughts.
I agree completely. You got Magomed Ankalaev, former champion, by the way. He did beat Pereira the first time. He's waiting in the wings, man. But I don't know what it is. It's like if you're Khabib or you're Islam and you're 155, it's okay to quote unquote lay on guys. And they don't just lay on guys. They're constantly doing ground and pound. They're constantly providing them. And as Makhachev showed us, he knocked Gary on his ass with a beautiful kick. So, but people just don't like Ankalaev's style at light heavyweight for whatever reason. I'd like to see Paulo Costa too. If nothing else, they would sell a lot of tickets for it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, Bellamir, we got up next.
You want to talk about Bellamir a little bit? Frank Mir's daughter. She was a minus 4,000 favorite going into that fight and lost a decision.
She was, and I'm pretty comfortable saying the highest MMA favorite to ever lose, either in between UFC, PFL, Bellator, MVP, all the big organizations. We've never had a minus 4,000 favorite. They never even had a minus 4,000 favorite in the UFC. The highest they get in the UFC is maybe minus 2,000. Is the highest I've ever seen a UFC male or female favorite ever. So, yeah, I'll give you the quick breakdown, and don't worry, as Pat reminds me to show grace every episode to these fighters, many of who he's friends with, and we should all have a great deal of respect for. So, Frank Mir has Bellamir, started wrestling at an early age. He's been telling people for a long time, this girl's going to be UFC champion. So, Bellamir, very successful high school wrestling career. She's wrestling boys, she's beating boys, then she takes up jiu-jitsu, fighting. And now she's coming in here at 4-0 on Contender Series, which just like they did for Bo Nickel, this is just a layup to the big stage. minus 4,000 is egregious. That means you have to bet $4,000. That's right, folks. You have to bet $4,000. That's multiple mortgage payments. That's the price of some cars just to win 100. But people will do it, especially pro sports bettors, because they're like, it's free money. Well, thank God I don't bet Contender Series. I stopped betting Contender Series 3 or 4 years ago because the fights are just silly. And yeah, it wasn't even like a flash knockout or unlucky. She just got her butt kicked for 15 rounds. I thought she handled it well. Keep in mind, a few days before the fight, she said, I'm not only going to be the best female fighter ever, I'm going to be the best fighter ever. You know what? That's not enough hype. I'm going to be the best American athlete ever in history. Well, you're off to a rough freaking start there, Bella, because you just lost on Contender Series. At least Bo Nickel won his Contender Series fight. So, I mean, but she seemed to take it well. Who didn't take it well was Mom, who we won't get into that much, but kind of got on her phone. Getting on your phone when you're slamming bottles of wine is never a good idea, and hopping on Twitter. Said some things that were flat out disrespectful to Bella's opponent, who just kicked Bella's butt and deserved respect, not, nasty words from someone's mom. That's that. I think Bella bounces back fine. We both have the utmost respect for Frank Mir, and yeah, it's just humbleness can be good. What do you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, the mother, was reading, I guess, messages from fans saying, Bella Mir should go kill herself and all this crazy shit, and it got to her.
So she stuck up for her kid.
As a parent, I can understand that, and I also know after 3 years of sobriety that you don't get on your phone and text or do anything on social media when you're drinking, because things will backfire on you, and that's just the way it is. So don't do it. Don't do it. And if you can't control your booze, throw your phone in the toilet. Do something with it. So anyway,
put the booze in the toilet, put the phone in the toilet. Yeah.
Put the booze, one or the other. The booze, the phone, one of them's going in the toilet.
That's it. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I think that was very well said, and I so enjoy and I working up some kind of one of our mini mottos. It's that you can't cancel us, and part of the reason you can't cancel MMA Mobsters is because we're not running around trying to cancel everyone else. We didn't try to cancel Poirier. Pat said some incredible words, and sure enough, everyone's forgotten the Poirier thing. There was no arrests. Nobody cares. The Anthony Smith thing, when that first came out, you would have thought he was like the new Oklahoma City bomber and was going to prison for the rest of his life. Somehow that's disappeared. It's never good to rush to judgment until we see what happens in the court of law. And once again, Pat, clear heads, and especially he has relationship with these people, and he's so respectful of anyone who gets in that cage and fights. Thanks for your insight, Pat, as always.
No stress. All right, we ready to move on to the card for this weekend, buddy?
Yeah, I just got to give a shout out to Jeremy Stevenson. We now have a tie at the top of the MMA Mobsters Soil
Stenerson, Jeremy Stenerson.
Stenerson and Mark Mueller have now won 2. That's when you predict the winner and the exact method. So you had RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez by unanimous decision. Pat and I both had RoboCop, but we liked him in the 3rd or 4th round to eventually finish Fluffy. Good for you, Jeremy. I hope you bet it. I hope you made some money. You certainly won some swag from Pat. Shout out Jeremy and Mark. They are both 2 wins, tied atop the leaderboard. Will one pull ahead into first place this week? Only one way to find out.
We got to send the winner. The winner's got to get a Christmas package at the end of the year, right?
I like it. And I'll even throw something crazier in there. I'm not trying to give away all your swag, but kind of like Jeremy this week, and Mark may have done it too. No disrespect to you at all, Mark. But if they can pick the winner and the method, and the winner is an underdog, keep in mind, RoboCop wasn't a huge favorite. He was a dog. So if they're picking an underdog to win and giving us the exact method, that's got to be worth an extra keychain or something. I don't know. That's all I got to say.
We'll just... Those two are so far in the lead, so good for them. And so, all right, let's start with the undercard at the bottom here. Cameron Nelson versus Ding. Ding 0-1 in the UFC. Nelson making the debut. Break this one down. I'm looking at the records and going, I don't even know how they made this, because most state athletic commissions, if you put that in front of them, they'd go, You're joking, right? Somebody with 45 fights against somebody with 8 fights. Are you kidding me? Like this would get laughed out of a athletic commission room for matchmaking.
Yeah, it would. Apparently, it didn't get laughed out of the China Commission because they love this fight and they are opening the card with it. It's pretty obvious what they're trying to do here, and the line movement reflects it, Pat. Mendane actually opened up as a small favorite. He opened up at about minus or plus 110. He's now flipped a full on favorite, minus 150. This isn't a put your mortgage on it, but yeah, we're going to get started off the right way here. I like Meng Dean to win. They know what they're doing. You know, they have the Shanghai crowd, and they want their guy to start off the night right, get all these fans very politely clapping, very politely screaming for blood, as the Asian fans always do. They're some of the best fight fans in all of sport. I love how they're so passionate but so respectful at the same time. They're really great people. So yeah, I think their boy's going to get it done, and I won't say my confidence level, but yeah, I like Dane to get the job done here.
All right. Well, I mean, that's where I was leaning as well. And I guess in Don Trump's words, you're going with China.
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 I think it'll get the card started off right for the UFC China fans and the MMA bettors who put a little bet on Dean to start the card. So there you go.
All right. Then moving on to Pilastri versus Zhang. 10-1 in ONE FC is Zhang, 0-1 in the UFC. Pilastri is 2-3. I know where I'm leaning a little bit on this one. Could this be a toss-up fight? But I'm not going to give it away right now. But I'm leaning a little bit towards, maybe home turf girl.
Well, in the most politically way possible, a lot of female fights are toss-up fights, as we saw with Bellamir being minus 4,000 and losing on Tuesday. This is no different. I lean Pilastri. I don't know if I lean her enough to bet a lot of money on her. She opened up at minus 210 on Bet Rivers. Now she's minus 250. Great. I mean, that's worth a look. She's going to be my pick, but it's not with a ton of confidence. What do you think, Pat?
I'm leaning just a little bit towards Zhang. You know, given the 10-1 ONE FC record, 0-1 in the UFC, but she's fought better quality opponents they had better records overall, you know, all of those things. Everything combined, I'm leaning a little bit towards Zhang. That's all I'm saying.
I like it.
That would be one of my underdog picks on this card. All right, moving on to Santiago and Lawrence Liu. Lawrence Liu and Santiago, neither one of them are ranked. Liu, the road to the UFC, 3-0, had some okay quality opponents in that, and then Santiago's in the LFA, 1-0, an overall record, 8-1 for Liu, 6-1 for Santiago. What say you, bro?
Yeah, shout out Road to UFC. Our boy Darius Flowers is fighting tonight in Road to UFC. So stand up Mason City, Iowa. I'm not sure what the frick is going on. I thought you fought in Road to the UFC to get into the UFC. Darius Flowers is already in the UFC. He won his last UFC fight. He beat Lando Venata. Maybe he's doing them a favor. I just talked to Darius on Facebook last week. I'll probably just DM him and ask him, like, what's going on here? But our boy, I thought he was fighting on the UFC China card. I was like, I can't wait to bet him. I don't really bet Road to UFC. It's kind of like the Asian version of Contender Series. For some reason, Darius Flower from Iowa was the main event against some Asian guy tonight. So that's interesting. But yeah, as far as this Lawrence Liu kid goes, he opened up at minus 310 on FanDuel. He's minus 280 now. There's just nothing really screaming at me in the line movement or the tape or really anything to want to put a lot of my hard-earned money on him. He's going to be the pick, but he's going to be a lean. I hate it when the line movement just kind of stays static like this. That's what the line did in the Larry Ann, Jamal Emmers fight. It was just minus 420 and stayed there all week. That's none of these cases. Lawrence Liu is the lean, but I don't want to bet him at minus 280, minus 300. Do you, Pat?
No, sir. No, sir.
So who would your pick be? Would you pick the underdog straight up, or like me, just kind of hesitantly lean Lawrence Liu?
I'm hesitantly leaning Lawrence Liu, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not. I mean, if I were a betting guy, it's not something I wouldn't be throwing much money on something like that. If I was forced to bet on it, I wouldn't. I wouldn't bet a lot. That's for sure. That's obvious. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are watching this, or when they watch it, go, "No shit, genius." Um, but yeah, Lawrence Liu, slight favorite in my humble opinion.
I like it. Who do we got next?
Going on with Woodson and Jenkins. Woodson ranked 15th, Jenkins ranked 47th, 4-2 in the UFC for Jenkins, and Woodson at 7-2. Go ahead.
The whole Woodson thing's a little bit funny. He is an African American man who certainly has some Asian in him. And they always make him fight on these UFC Asia cards, even though he's from St. Louis. Maybe he likes it over there, but yeah, that's like them having me fight at UFC Israel every year. It's like, guys, just because I look a little bit. But so I'm sure there's a good reason, but it does make me laugh. Woodson's a dog, dude. He's got a longer reach than just about any fighter in the entire division. He'll have a reach advantage here, and he knows how to use it, Pat. Unlike, who was that guy, that big heavyweight in the European guy? They called him Skyscraper. I'll think of it in a second. Tai Tuivasa knocked him out brutally, but he didn't know how to use his range and his length. Woodson does. He's very comfortable in his body. He has one of the nastiest jabs in all of MMA. He's fighting Jack Jenkins, whose main thing is he's tough and he's going to give you a hard fight. But yeah, that was shout out the best producer in the business. Stefan Struve was the heavyweight who was blessed with the best heavyweight body in the world, but just wasn't comfortable in his own body. It's like, dude, you're 8 feet tall and have like a 8 foot reach too. Come on, man. But anyway, yeah, Woodson's got the range figured out. I think he picks Jenkins apart here. I think this is a really bad matchup for Jack Jenkins. He's going to be trying. He's going to be blistered in there like a pit bull, and Woodson's just going to be like, pop, pop, jab, 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 and he's going to be keeping it range with his long arms and legs. He can use his long legs. And I think this is an awful fight for Jenkins. Jenkins has heart. That's just about it. He'll be at every physical disadvantage here. So give me Sean Woodson. I like it quite a bit. He opened up at minus 120. He's minus 150 now. I like the line movement. I see the path to victory. Are you buying what I'm selling here, Pat?
I am. I'm going with Woodson as well. I picked him as, even though the odds aren't overwhelming or anything, I picked Woodson pretty quickly in this one. So I'm leaning with you, buddy. All right, Newsy versus Zhao. Zhao ranked 50th in the world. Newsy unranked and UFC debut. Zhao's 1-2 in the UFC. 27-11 overall record against 11-2 for Newsy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Zhao Lan has moved 10 points. This is another fight that I don't have a strong read on, and that's just I'm not gonna lie to you up here. Obviously the premium subscribers in my chat, as you guys know, you get my full fight breakdowns every week, and we're on a Thursday here. I often don't really know what I'm doing until a half hour before the card, but Zhao Long's going to be the lean here. I'm not a big fan of either, Pat. I don't know that the loser of this could very easily be cut from the UFC. Someone's got to lose. I guess it'll be Nuzzy. Give me a lean on Zhao Long, but yeah, just a few of these fights, other than Woodson, who I really like, and Dean Main, who I really like. The other three fights are they're almost too close to call.
There's notes that I always have for quality of opponents, and
Sure.
Zhao Long, I just wrote not good, and I remember looking at the quality of opponents, and given the amount of experience, if you look at Zhao Long's look Zhao Long up on Tapology and look at the quality of opponents, I mean, there was virtually numerous opponents that had a fraction of his experience when he fought them, number one, and the records weren't very good to begin with. So I think that Zhao Long has had a really easy road. Somebody with that many fights, 38 professional fights with that many easy fights, like I don't even know how the fuck you pull that off. Pardon my French. But
No, you're good.
he's connected to the Chinese mob or what, I have no clue what's going on there. But that's basically it. So just literally for that purpose, and that Nosey has had a little bit tougher opponents in a 13 fight career, I'm going towards Nosey. Just possibly an upset there. Not a massive upset, but an upset nonetheless.
Yeah, I think I'm going to join you on the Newsy train. Also, it's a little more spicy than just taking a lean on lawn, a lean on lawn. Yeah, it's this everything you said about looking at Lon Zhao's record. The same with the eye test. He looks like a fighter. He's built like a fighter, and then he gets in there. It seems like he doesn't really want to fight, or he's certainly not comfortable in his own body, like a Sean Woodson we were talking about. So, yeah, I get the same just kind of bad vibes from Lon Zhao as a better. So, you know what? I'm going to join you. Nosy bet plus 150 for fun. If you bet $10, you will get 25 back. So you will more than double your money. I'm okay with
that. And we see Lee celebrating up there. He is quite enthused. Beautiful. Look at the flex.
That's our cheerleader, man. If our energy's down, Lee gets it up.
Right. All right, let's move on to Borges versus Surya. Surya 3-0 in the road to the UFC and 2-1, I believe, in the UFC. 2-4 for Borges in the UFC. Meh quality of opponents for Borges. That's what I wrote. Meh. And look, Surya, 4-1 in the last 5, had a decision loss to Joshua Van. He's a solid fighter.
Yeah, and if you're going to lose to anyone in the bantamweight division, Pat, or sorry, the flyweight division, if you're going to lose to anyone in the flyweight division, you might as well lose to Joshua Van, who's not only the reigning defending champion, but is looking like possibly one of the best ever. We'll see how that Pantoja rematch goes. I think he'll destroy Pantoja. But, yeah, this Ray Teixeira kid is very good. You're going to see a lot of Asians in the smaller weight classes just because that's how biology works. They've ran these weight classes for a long time. They helped invent a lot of these weight classes, as did Pat Miletich and Jens Pulver and Uriah Faber and BJ Penn and so on and so forth. So this is their freaking home, man. Borjas is tough. He's a UFC fighter. I just think Ray Teixeira, with the home crowd, the line movement loves him. He's gone from minus 650 to minus 800. It's getting close to that 4-digit territory where 98% of the time they don't lose. It certainly looks like Ray Teixeira gets the job done. I like him, man. He's got it on the ground. He's got it on the feet. Seems to be the full package. Shout out Asia, man. They are getting – it used to be incredible karate strikers, but just put them on their butt, and they don't know what to do. They're learning to wrestle over there, man, and it has produced some incredibly well-rounded fighters, some guys that might have even held their own at Miletich fighting system, guys who can do it all. And Ray Teixeira is one of those guys, right?
Well, and the catch-as-catch-can wrestling is big in Japan as well.
Yes.
Guys like Sakuraba, who destroyed all the Gracies, he went out and did a number on the Gracie family. So the catch-as-catch-can guys and the submission grappling and all of that is obviously very big in Asia. They're very good at it. There's a lot of, the jiu-jitsu guys that came over, the judo practitioners, all of that came over to America. Teddy Roosevelt grappled one of them, Kimura, back in the day, legendary, the guy that beat, the father of the Gracies. You got to think about that. Dislocated his arm, broke his arm actually with a Kimura.
Did you say Teddy Roosevelt is in like the president Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah. He was a wrestler at Harvard, and then did the catch-as-catch-can because that back in those days, wrestling was submission or pin. Those were the rules. So why they got rid of that, I have no idea. They should have never got rid of that because that was the real grappling. So and that's why catch-as-catch-can is coming back with scientific wrestling and all of that with Jake and everything we're doing. So big deal. It's a big deal. But anyway, all right, moving on. I've got, obviously, I think that's a lock, wouldn't you say?
I would say it's certainly getting close to lock territory. And I think that the line movement echoes that. Anytime you move 150 points in the right direction, that means that other pro bettors are lining up on it. So I would say that, yeah, our guy Ray Tesura certainly looks like close to a lock, close to a parlay piece. And that's not
All
just the
right.
line movement. We both see a path for him to get it done pretty well.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Tesura. All right. Moving on. Lima versus I can't even read Bath Bear.
Bat Bear.
Is it Bat Bear? Yeah, that's
Correct.
my penmanship. Lima versus Bat Bear. Road to UFC 3-0 as well. Bat Bear against Lima, who's 4-1 in the UFC. This is an interesting matchup. How's this go?
Yeah, whenever time you say road to UFC, I keep laughing about our buddy Darius Flowers fighting tonight, and it's this the whole card. It's like 9 Asians and 1 black guy from Iowa. I gotta text him and be like, "How did this happen? Like, are you lost?" But I hope our boy Darius gets it done tonight. I don't bet road to UFC, just like I don't bet Contender Series. But Darius has been very kind to both me and Coach. We're an Iowa guy like him.
He's a hammer.
Let's get
I
some.
mean, that guy's got some power.
We'll get him on. Yeah, we'll get him on the show sometime. So make us Iowans proud at Road to UFC tonight. Darius Flowers will have on the show sometime. Yeah, I mean, like Andre Lima here, he's gone from minus 250 to minus 270. When I look at Bat Bear, I put in my notes, he can either be really good or really bad. It's just hard to tell with the level of competition that he's facing. I'm going to go Lima here, but it's not with a ton of confidence because I think Bat Bear might be a little better than we think he is, or maybe not. I don't know. Probably until this Lima fight. Lima's a UFC
Yeah.
fighter, dude. Like he hasn't fought enough to be a gatekeeper, but we've seen 4 or 5 UFC fights from him. We know he belongs in there. I'm not sure Bat Bear does, but that's why they fight.
The interesting thing about Bat Bear is he seems to fight up to the level of competition. I mean, his last 3 fights, he's had great performances, and he's 4-1 overall. I think. Wait a minute. Well, 5-0 in his last 5, but his last 3 fights have been really good performances against fairly tough people. So I'm actually leaning the underdog here a little bit, just slightly, but I think, given his performance and the way he's been improving, I'm kind of leaning towards him.
So, Pat, that reminds me of a question, and I won't. I know that you never throw your fighters under the bus, so I won't ask you to. Just pretend that it's me. I'm sure you've had guys like this in the past. Pretend it's me. When I get a kid I should smash, I play with my food for 15 minutes, and I barely beat him. When I go up against like a former world champion, I look amazing. What do you say to a fighter like that who fights up and down to competition? How do you change their mindset? How do you teach them a lesson? How do you coach them to be the best fighter they can be? Because guys and girls are really good at this level. And if you try to play with your food, I don't care if you're the vastly superior fighter, you can get caught and that arrogance can get ended real quickly.
It's a heightened sense of almost, I don't know, the more dangerous someone is, the more keen your senses become. It's like if you were playing with a deer that had no antlers, right, as opposed to a mountain lion that's got claws and canine teeth that wants to rip you apart. Your senses are going to be a little bit different, right?
You let your
you're gonna be a
guard
little
down.
more,
You let your guard down. Yeah.
yeah, and you feel like you can horse around a little bit, or because there's no like immediate threat all the time because they might not be as dangerous. You're just not as aggressive. You're not tuned up enough. You're not aggressive enough yourself. Whatever that is, you can lay back and kind of let rounds go because you're not threatened, so to speak. That can happen to fighters. So it's okay. You're gonna lose money. You're gonna lose ranking. You run the risk of being cut. All these different things. So the threat in terms of financial stability, rankings, and the ability to move up and eventually fight for a world title, all the threats are just as real, even though they might not seem that dangerous. They can walk away with a win or some rounds on you and get yourself behind the 8 ball where you got to then try to finish them, things like that. So you just don't want that. So that's the kind of language, I guess, that coaches should use against people that might not seem that dangerous to their fighter, right?
That was extremely well said, and that's why Dana White had to start doing performance bonuses to try to motivate people to be the best that they can be and not just mail in the fight. Well said, Pat. What do we have for our next war in the octagon?
Nielsen Rojas against Bilal Hassan. Bilal is 1-0 in the Contender Series. Rojas unranked and making the UFC debut as well. Both guys 9-0. So this is something that I've always wondered about for coaches, managers, things like that. Putting your fighter up against another undefeated fighter early in the UFC or the beginning of the UFC career, one of you is going to start off on a bad foot. That's just the way it is, right? I don't think people have the choice as much on who they can fight. I think they're given like 3 names, whatever. But I think the win for either one of these guys, beating another unbeaten fighter, is a bigger feather in the cap than fighting someone else maybe who's at the beginning stages of their UFC career. So the what is it? What do they call it? It's the kind of risk versus reward. The risk versus reward thing is there probably.
It is, and I'll just devil's advocate with you a little bit. Yeah, I think that you are very protective of the fighters, especially these younger kids who, at 19 years old, probably shouldn't be getting your brain punched in for 15 straight minutes. And you got guys like Carlos Prates. Prates started off his MMA career 1 and 2. Everyone's like, well, this kid can't fight. And now he's knocking on the door being a world champion. There's some fighters, you throw them in the fire. Even though they may lose, it makes them better. There's some fighters, it destroys them for life. So I'm not giving advice here. Pat's qualified to give advice on this. I'm not. But I do see both sides of it. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, absolutely. Good evaluation.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this is interesting. We have almost back-to-back minus 800 favorites separated by the Lima Bat Bear fight. So you'll have almost back-to-back fights where the minus 800 favorite should cruise. Yeah, Bilal Hassan, he can fight. I think this Nielsen Rojas kid is mostly there to lose. They can maybe think that they can build Hassan into something that's also a demographic that they're trying to reach out to, that part of the country. I don't know, man. I watch Hassan fight. It seems like every fight pretty much that he's had has been tailor-made for him to win. And I mean, I think he rolls here, but I always get nervous betting a guy with not the best strength of schedule. I guess give me Bilal Hassan here, but I'm not dying to pay 800 for him. Let's see what the line movement's done. Minus 600 to minus 800, that makes me a little more confident. So it's not locked territory, but sure, give me Bilal Hassan. He certainly should win at minus 800.
Yeah, both guys are unbeaten. And the thing is, quality of opponents for both of them has been low. So it's not like it's and at this stage in their career at 9-0, you don't expect them to have fought, world beaters. So that's just, the way it is. So I lean towards Hassan as well. All right, let's move on to Rodriguez against Lou. Lou, I mean, he's in shape, solid athlete. Rodriguez, 3-0 in the LFA, 0-1 in the UFC. Goes from success in the LFA to losing his first one in the UFC. The records at 3-1 and 5-1, you can't even get statistics really unless you dig into the matchups for Lou on, subs and decisions and KOs and all that sort of stuff. They didn't even take the time. And he does have a kickboxing background, is he the favorite in this fight because of his kickboxing background and his experience?
You're talking about Liu?
Yeah.
Liu is a minus 200 favorite, Pat Militech. He opened up at minus 195. He's essentially the same odds. He's minus 200 now. So that is your favorite.
Yeah, so I mean, I was leaning towards Liu, just to be quite frank with you, because of his kickboxing experience, just more fights.
Yeah, and 3-1 pro record is a wild record to get into the UFC. I don't really care how many amateur fights you have, but here he is in the UFC at 3-1, and then you have Levi Rodriguez, who had a no contest on Contender Series and then gets finished from full mount about halfway through the second round against Felipe Franco. And no disrespect to Felipe Franco, but whereas before I was like, His only loss is to Joshua Van. That's not that bad. Losing to Felipe Franco is far more of a blemish on your record. So this is a weird fight, Pat. This is one of those that could easily go the other way. I will lean the favorite here with C. Lou. That's all I got. I'm not sure either of these guys belong in the UFC. Someone's got to win tomorrow unless they fight to a draw or something. But give me C. Lou with not a ton of confidence.
How do we run into problems like this and situations like this with Chinese fighters when there's supposedly a billion or more Chinese on the planet and this is the best they can pull out? Is this on the main card of the UFC? This is the fifth to the top, or there's only 4 fights above this fight. Is this main card
Yeah, I
fight?
mean, yeah, it certainly is, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. It's just math.
What is
Math
he, an
doesn't care
actor or
about your
something in
feelings,
China? Is he
fortunately.
really famous on social media? What the hell's going on?
He might be, but I'll just throw out there India has like a billion people and they've never produced a decent UFC fighter, let alone a UFC champion. So at least
That's
China's
because they
doing a
won't
little
eat
something
cows,
right.
bro. That's because they don't eat
That's
cows.
is it
That's
why?
why.
They don't get
They can't put
protein?
on the muscle. They can't put on the muscle. They
That's
don't
actually
eat cows.
that's I don't hate it. Yeah, so the ever most slight of leans to Lucy. What's the next fight, brother?
You got bored with me, huh? Okay, Perez,
Usually it's you trying to get me to go to the next fight.
um, Sumerji,
Sumaderji.
Sumaderji against
Sumaderji.
Perez. Sumaderji 6-4 in the UFC and 8-6 for Perez. Perez 26-10, 19-7 overall for Sumerji. What say you, genius?
Yeah, I don't understand why Sumaderji is the favorite here. Look at Alex Perez. I know that he had that injury, and then he absolutely put a whooping on Charles Johnson, hit him about 300 times in the first round before they finally stopped it. So, okay, this is a rematch. There was a no contest halfway through the second
Yep.
round last time that they fought. And so it seems like
Who was winning that
Sumaderji.
fight last time? And did you watched that fight? I'm assuming who was
Mhm.
winning that fight when it was ruled a no contest?
I thought Sumaderji was kind of. That's probably why he's the favorite here, because I believe going into that fight, Perez may have been. It was a pretty close fight. Not
Yeah.
a ton that I could really take away from it. I'll rewatch it before the fight Saturday, but yeah, Sumaderji and Alex Perez are both very tough guys. They would both probably be considered gatekeepers in this division. It's interesting that they're fighting each other. I would have this as a straight pick 'em because I think there's a very good chance either guy can win here. Since they aren't the same odds, give me the underdog because I think it's a 50-50 fight, and for some reason, Alex Perez is triple your money. So give me Perez. I like him, man. It just when you think he's done, he just comes back. He'll never be champion, barring something crazy happening. But he's a top 10 guy. I think he's always been a top 10 guy, and people have doubted him because of injuries and losses. He comes back. So, yep, I think the old veteran's got at least one more in him. Give me plus 180, Alex Perez, just like a half unit lean. But I'd rather take him at plus money than Sumaderji at minus 220.
So what's the odds on this fight going the distance? Alex Perez has had 14 decisions. Sumaderji has had 6 decisions.
Pat, my friend, I was hoping you would say that because yeah, this is actually a pretty decent fight goes to decision bet. Fight doesn't go is minus 160. Fight goes is plus 120. Yeah, I like it. I'm certainly fine putting a unit on that. So there's a lot I like about this fight. I think Perez has a good shot to win at plus 180. And I think fight goes to the distance has a good chance of happening, despite it also being the slight underdog at plus 120. So two plus money bets on the same fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if both of them won. I would not recommend for you crazy efforts at home, do not parlay Alex Perez wins by decision. They're both plus money anyway. You don't get to get too greedy. I would put a bet, whether it be $10, $100, whatever, put a bet on fight goes the distance at plus 120, then put a bet on Perez wins. If either one of those bets wins, you're still making money even if the other one loses. That's how plus money works. So I would recommend that. If they both hit, great. if one hits, you still made a little bit of money. Fair?
All right, beautiful. All right, moving on to Ahoy versus Asakura. Asakura 1-2 in the UFC, 4-5 for Ahoy. Both guys, a lot of experience, and the number of fights that Ahoy opponents have had when he fought them, for the most part, have been probably, for the amount of fights he's had and the experience he has, quite possibly could be the lowest. Like if you look down his opponents, look at some of those records, bro.
Is this for Kai or Ahoy?
For Ahoy, I believe.
You really hate Ahoy strength of schedule. Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. Even Tapology has it not good. Yeah, that's not good at all. Yeah.
Does Tapology have an actual measurement for strength of schedule?
They do somewhat, but kind of like their ranking system, it's fan voted, so often doesn't make sense because fans also use their heart over their mind. But yeah, who was your pick right now? Because it looks like Kai is a -450, -500 favorite.
Yeah, I'm going with Kai Asakura.
I just don't see it, man. I've been on the fade Kaya. I don't something about him coming out of Risen, and it wasn't even like he was that good in Risen. He lost to Horiguchi in Risen. He lost to Manel Kopp in Risen, and he lost to Hiromisi Ugibuki, whoever that is. So he's lost 3 times in Risen. It's not like he's crushing everyone in Risen. And then he comes over to the UFC and immediately gets a title shot. That was a slap in the face to Joshua Van, slap in the face to Brandon Royval, and many others. But it all got worked out. He got embarrassed in his debut, and then he really gets embarrassed by like a 40-year-old Tim Elliott in the next fight. So he beats Cameron Smotherman. No disrespect to Cameron Smotherman. I think that was the same fight where Smotherman almost died, face planted coming off of the scale. So, yeah, man, not that Kai Asakura is watching anyway.
Bisping called that perfect.
Did you see the video? Then it cuts to DC with a cheeseburger the size of his head. He's trying to chow down because he knew the camera wasn't going to be on him. It was just, one guy is literally killing himself by not eating, and DC's eating 5-pound cheeseburgers. It was the funniest thing ever.
All right. So
and Pat, one more thing. I'll send you the reel, and you guys can look it up online. You literally see, and this isn't funny at all, Cameron Smotherman face plants, looks like he dies. Then it cuts to DC with the world's biggest cheeseburger going, oh no, what happened? Like spitting out cheeseburger. It's like, oh God, not a good look. But yeah, so he knocked out Cameron Smotherman. Great. I mean, I'm not convinced he can knock anyone else in this weight division out. And
does this fight go the distance? I mean, here's the thing.
No, because I mean, Kai
Asakura's got 14 KO victories.
Yeah.
Has been to 6 decisions, but dude, there's 24
0-3 in the UFC.
Ahoy is 16-8 in decisions. He's had 24 fights go to decision. That's a lot of fights going to decision.
Yeah, what I see with Kai Asakura, especially in the UFC, his first 3 UFC fights have not gone to decision. He has either finished the guy or been finished himself. I think that's kind of the book on Kai Asakura. I don't think he's built for 15 minutes in the UFC. I think he's here for a quick time, not a long time. If you like it, all the respect in the world for you, but I will not be betting fight goes the distance. If anything, I'll be betting fight doesn't go, because it seems like Kai Asakura, at least at the UFC level, Kai Asakura is not. He's not going to get in the habit of his fights going to decision. He will either find a quick finish or get tired and be finished himself. So
okay, all right, rolling with Asakura then. All right, Gomez and Yan. Yan 9-4 in the UFC. Gomez 6-2. Yan's ranked 4th. Gomez ranked 11th. I mean,
yeah, again, just with the Kai Asakura fight, I guess he's my pick, but I don't like it. I don't think I certainly don't think he deserved an immediate title shot with no UFC fights. And then he loses to Tim Elliott in his second fight.
What about the odds?
Yeah, so he's minus 450. He's a sizable favorite. Kaya Sakura opened up at minus 400. Yeah, when we have like a premium website where you can get deeper breakdowns from me an hour before the fight starts, I'll go into more depth. But right now, I guess Kaya Sakura is the pick. But would it shock me if a Hoary Lane boxes his ears off and once again Kaya Sakura gets tired and gets finished in the second round? No, that wouldn't shock me at all. So yeah, that's kind of my take on that.
Okay. All right. All right. Moving on to Gomez and Yan. Yan 19-5 overall, 12-3 for Gomez. Both guys have some, decent number of KOs per win,
Yes,
7 and 8. Only been finished once on their feet. Both guys have a pretty good number of decisions as well on their records. The quality of opponents a little higher, I think, for Yan. What are your thoughts?
yeah, we have a chick fight as our co-main, and this is almost getting egregious trying to shoehorn the Chinese fighters into the main event and co-main event. There's no reason why this should be co-main. There's no reason why this should even be on the main card, but here we are. Yan Xiaonan did fight for a title against her compatriot Wei Li back at UFC 300. Had her moments, but Whaley mostly dominated her. And then you have Denise Gomes, the little 5-foot wonder who throws heat unless you can offer some kind of takedown threat or, just kind of keep her at bay because she's got short dinosaur T-Rex arms. But if she connects, she's one of the harder hitters in the division. She's just not super technical, whereas Yan Xiaonan is the definition of technical. Oh my gosh, I kind of like fight goes the distance here. I'm going to check what the odds are on that. Minus 250 fight goes to decision. I like betting that more than I like betting a winner here. I guess John Xiaonan's going to be my lean, but if I'm betting this fight at all, I'm probably betting fight goes at minus 250. I think that's a little bit too cheap. I'll be shocked if this fight ends at a finish.
Okay. Yeah, I'm leaning a little bit towards Yan. That's kind of my gut. So that's where I'm at. Ready to move
I
on?
like it. It's main event time, buddy, isn't it?
Yes, it is. All right. Nurmagomedov against Song. Nurmagomedov versus Song. 12-4 overall, or 12-4 UFC record for Song. 8-1 for Nurmagomedov, and he's only got one loss on his record, which was a surprising loss, wasn't it? I think you bet a bunch of money on that, didn't you?
Umar, you're talking about Umar only has one loss?
Yes.
Yeah, he was fighting Merab, and he won the first 2 rounds against Merab, and then Merab did what Merab does, and Merab won the last 3. It was a fight that I'll be honest, I didn't really know what to do with before, and certainly didn't know what to do with it live. But will Umar get that championship again? He freaking better. I mean, everyone in that room, whether it be Khabib or Islam or who's Usman, who is going to join the UFC any day now, those 4 are kind of the 4 horsemen of the Nurmagomedov clan. They're all cousin, uncle, brothers, or however it works over there. Umar's there, man. You have guys like Tagir, Ulanbekov, or others who are just part of the crew. Those are their big 4. Khabib, Islam, Umar, Usman. And that's it. So I got someone super loud in the other room here. I'm never coming back to this library.
I can't hear anything.
We will okay, good.
Does
we will
this
power
fight?
So yeah. So anyway, I look at Umar. I see all the Nurmagomedov traits. I see better than you would expect striking and relentless pressure chain wrestling. Mario Bautista is a very good fighter. Mario Bautista just beat Corey Sandhagen on the Conor McGregor card about a month ago. He made Bautista look silly. That's what these daggies do, man. They come in and it's like not even fair. The way that it's like they're playing a different sport and they make you look silly. Umar's in there. I don't think San will have anything for him. You know what I really like doing? I like betting Umar fights to go to decision. This is a 5-round fight.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Minus 200 to go to decision. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to ask you because Song has gone to decision 16 times and Nurmagomedov has gone 12 times to decision. So it's going decision in your humble opinion.
I mean, I don't see how it doesn't, and I think minus 200 is a steal. It is a 5-round fight, so you almost never see men's 5-round fights, 25-minute main event affairs be minus 200 to go to decision. I mean, you got the perfect recipe here, and you got Umar should win. He almost always goes to decision. Son should lose, but Son's very tough himself. So, yeah, I expect full 25 minutes of mostly Umar domination. He opened up at minus 450 on Caesars. He's minus 600 now. But as much as I like Umar at minus 600, you can throw him in your parlays, whatever. I really like minus 200 fight goes to decision. I'd even be fine probably putting that in your parlays too.
I've got Umar by decision as well. So anybody out there that wants to win free cell saviors and Diamine clothing, by all means, put your. I mean, this one might be too easy. We might like send you 2 pills.
I'm gonna look out for my buddy Pat, and I'm gonna say rush to the comment bar because we don't do ties here at MMA Mobsters. So whoever the first one to comment fight and method, because this is almost the easiest prediction. But if you want to zig when others zag and get off of the herd, then pick something crazy. But yeah, first person to say Nurmagomedov by decision. If that does in fact happen, you are the winner. We're not sending stuff to all 30 people who made the easiest pick of all time. So that's just
Yeah, no shit. All right, so we've got Hamzamir in here. Japan, one of the best wrestling countries right now. Yeah, spot on. Plus, Japan is producing a lot of talent right now. Yes. Tara is a catch wrestler too. True. In Japan, it's called combat wrestling. Isn't Hassan like Indonesian? I'm not sure. Whether he is or not.
It's the same point I was making, that they're trying to appeal to that part of the world. And Costin checked in a little bit ago, and Jersten says, am I going to stay up and catch the fights, or do I load up on caffeine? I am going to a little thing called a Resonance Fair all day Saturday, so it's most likely, my friend Jeremy, that I will put my bets in, go to sleep, wake up, see how I did, and then get dressed up in my pirate prisoner costume, check my Facebook for pictures and Instagram. I will be a pirate prisoner to a very attractive, very tall, very muscular, I'd say that sound really weird, to a female pirate who is going to be my captor or something. I effed that up, but yeah, that's going to be the fun costume.
You got talked into some sort of medieval freak show.
Apparently. I did. Did you see me? Did you see me questioning all my life choices as I was saying this? So I was like, yeah, that was awesome. I just had a complete mental breakdown there, and you were there the whole way, buddy.
So. Lee said she's wearing a peg leg for 2 reasons. Okay. Chris Austin said, I'll take Park by decision and hopefully be the only one who wait a minute. We want you to pick the main event matchup. Oh, Medieval Freak Show. Chris, I think you want to pick the winner of the main event.
Main event gets if you want to win Coach, if you're watching right now.
Oh, there he is. Jeremy got it in.
Yeah, we'll revisit that. But yeah, Coach, if you want to go to the YouTube video and post that on the live video, I think this public chat goes away. But yeah, we're not trying to have our fans fighting against each other. Maybe the first 2 people that
we'll send out stuff.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, we don't want people fighting about who's going to be first. But yeah, but go to. So you got Coach and Jeremy. You are both in. You both like what we like. So that's it. I think, we will have a lot of fun with that. Pat, can you just speak on, it seems like you're doing great. You're doing so many things. We're taking MMA Mobsters to the next level. We'll discuss that more later, but there's so much fun stuff going on for you. You have this vigor for life. Just give us a rousing speech on our way out the door, and we will go seize the day.
Hey, man, we're just working on over at Soil Saviors Ministries on educating people onto how to heal soil. Basically, the entire continent has been toxified with synthetic chemicals, and we want to bring life back to it and vitality and frequency. So we're working very hard on that and assisting athletes to understand how the environment is negatively affecting their performance, their cellular operation, their gut health. So go to cellsaviors.org, check that out. And look, been a great show. I appreciate Lee being the man in the back with all the answers. And of course, my co-host, the Chauvin one, Joshua Chauvin. This is Pat Militich for everybody. Signing off. Good luck on Saturday, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, yeah. Yeah. Hey, giving it all. Hey, yeah. I'm giving it all I could give. Run up and taking my pick, then bringing it back to the crib. Hey, yeah. You know how I go. We finding the gold, the deeper we dig. So we just keep digging till we finally get it. Like fuck it, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yeah, I gave you my word, don't break it for no one. You know I'ma keep what I said. Ready for war, I've been deep in the trance. Been jumping since I had them streaks in the bed. Ice in my body, I'm cold under pressure. Recovered like I had no heat in the vents. Shooting, I don't have a conscience, too much to accomplish. You know I can't leave it to chance. Yeah, throw it in the bag. Throw some dots, I'm Jackson Dart. I'm out of pocket playing tag. Catch me if you can, empty out the mag. Took the lead, I run the track, and I'm never looking back. Going for the moment, always rolling with the punches. Find a way to see through the ceiling, put a cover. Smoke is in the air, keep it heavy in abundance. When the dust settles, let's see who remains.